Right, hi everyone. It's Keith Mabbott here from the Street Soccer Foundation. Our newly revamped podcast, now in video fashion, the Street Soccer United podcast. We brought this to life during the pandemic, just to kind of show unity amongst our supporters and businesses and friends of the foundation. And today, I'm delighted to be welcoming Tim Munday. Tim, if you want to just give a brief introduction to yourself.
Hi, as Keith said, I'm Tim Munday. I'm Sales and Marketing Director of Mailmaster. Mailmaster is a cloud-based email management tool. It helps businesses cut out lots of excessive email, streamline their email systems, make their daily working more efficient. I've known Keith for must be a couple of years now. We first met at a Chamber of Commerce networking event. Keith was speaking about the work he does, and it kind of resonated with me. So we touched base and been doing stuff together since then.
Brilliant. I can't believe that's 2 years ago. That's scary. I mean, I know people say time flies, but 2 years ago, that I can't believe that, because I really remember that talk that I did, and obviously you coming up to us and having a chat. And I think how about if we start right there and then, though? Do you mind us asking straight away kind of what resonated with you? I mean, in terms of what we do as a foundation, what was it that kind of grabbed you a little bit, apart from my brilliant presentation?
Well, obviously your presentation. Homelessness has always been something that's been fairly close to my heart, and my family in general, sort of thing. But in particular, it was the thing about the young adults and sort of how not everyone has the easiest time through their school years, and I had my share of problems at the time, and I was lucky enough to have a family that got me through that, and I realised not everyone is that lucky, but I also realised that sport can play a massive part in being a source of something solid that people can cling on to when they're having difficult times. And I think it was that sort of combination, the homelessness and the importance of sport as a tool to bring people together, that sort of touched a nerve, so to speak.
It's brilliant, and Tim, in that sense, I'll be honest with you, that is a lot that you've outlined there, a number of reasons as to why genuinely I set the whole thing up in the first place. Because in 2015, when I came across homelessness as a thing, I wasn't even aware of it myself, and I listened to an interview, like I think anyway, but for the benefit of viewers, I heard an interview on Radio 4 talking about homelessness in the country, and I was really shocked. And when I started to do a bit of research and found out about it, like just what you just said there, this sport for good and sport for change angle, having been a footballer and with a footballing background, I just knew so passionately that football could really serve a purpose, actually, and if there was maybe a vehicle for change that we could create to try and help these young adults out and those that are vulnerable and in a homelessness state currently, why not, let's just give it a go, sort of thing. So that's where it originated from. So very similar to you in how it resonated with you. I guess it's without it existing at that point, it hit me as the same as you, mate. It kind of hit me thinking, how can we try and help this situation, and can we create something through the power of football, which is where it all came from in the first place. And I'm really grateful you coming up to us, and I think that's how we've got to know each other, getting to know each other's sort of business and what we do and how we do it. But moving on to you, coming back to you, as it were, like kind of taking you back, what were you like sort of as a youngster growing up, as a sort of teenager? Because in the nature of who we support, as you know, they're young adults. They're typically 18 to 25 for our academy provision. Can you remember yourself back at sort of 18, 20 years old? What were you up to, and what was your situation? What sort of plans did you have, if any?
Well, I think my problem started a little bit younger than that. I was probably around the 14, age 14, I got lazy at school. I got involved with what they would call the wrong crowd, and sort of possibly because I didn't push myself hard enough at school, and I got distracted, and as lots of kids do, sort of thing. There's lots going on. Your body's doing strange things to you, and your head's doing strange things to you, and you start doing things that I look back on and not particularly proud of. Got a bit of trouble. I had a teacher tell my parents at a parents' evening that he expected me to end up in prison. So yeah, I wasn't far from an angel in those days, but yeah, as I said before, I was lucky enough. I had my family who didn't try and paper over the fact that I was doing bad things, but they tried to support me and get me through doing that, and find out the root causes and help me deal with the problems I was having. And the other thing I played a lot of sport. My main sport was cricket, and the cricket club was another sort of crutch I could lean on, sort of thing. Playing cricket with people a bit older than me, quite a bit older than me, who were very much a steadying influence, and sort of they didn't judge me. I think that was where I was lucky, is nobody judged me, and they all sort of accepted me for who I was, and accepted that I wasn't dealing with things as well as I probably could have done, and were still there for me, and that sort of helped me get through it. And since then, I was lucky enough that, in spite of my problems, I managed to get an apprenticeship when I was 16. I left school at 16 and joined British Telecom, and I think that obviously was a massive benefit as well. Gave some structure. Whilst I didn't do A-levels or anything, British Telecom sent me to do day release, which ultimately meant that when I got to the age of 21, I was able to go off to university to do a degree in electronics. And I think sort of by then I'd probably turned a corner, but it could very easily have gone another way if people had sort of washed their hands of me and left me to my own devices.
Yeah, you're so well, Tim. First, thank you for sharing that. I mean, what you're describing there, you're painting a picture of what often is the case with those that we're supporting, and the situation that they're in as it currently stands. And I think that's what we try and serve as, that support mechanism. The fact that your past does not dictate your future. And giving these people a chance, believing in them. Allowing themselves to believe in themselves, and creating opportunities for them and pathways to progress, and fundamentally, like you say, you're back then at that such a young age. You've got your whole life ahead of you, or at least in principle you have. But often some of these young people that we support don't really have even plans for the next day, not even a plan for tomorrow, because there's no promise of tomorrow, and their attitude is so fixed, in terms of their mindset and perhaps the social circle they've had around them. So when you kind of intervene with that and you wrap around a real supportive, sort of positive environment, and obviously give them football at the same time, I guess that's really why our program works so well, and that's why I'm grateful for you sharing what you've done. Because if you don't mind me saying, mate, Tim, you're somebody that I look to who is doing very well, has done very well. You're a reputable businessman. You've got your own business. By the way, everybody, Tim drives a very nice car. I've seen it. But that's all credit to you, mate, and what you've done and created for yourself. You've created your own opportunities. You've gone after those that have come your way. And listen, we all make mistakes and have life experiences, and it's pretty much half the cases that we deal with, in terms of those that we support through the Foundation's Academy program, where it's been a relationship breakdown, and from that it's then spiraled for them. They've then become homeless, and then as a trigger beyond that, it's that coping mechanism in terms of whether it might be drink or drugs or anything else to try and get through the situation, because it is extremely difficult for a number of people. So I'm really grateful you've shared that with us. And I guess you talked about how you did what you did. When you think back in what you've described, is there a key moment for you, Tim, when you think back, if you can, what really was the tipping point where you said it could have gone either way? What's the one thing that you recall that was what, I wouldn't say save you, but maybe that's too strong, but knocked you in the right path to progress where you are now?
Oh, that's difficult. I can't really say that it was one thing. I think it was really the fact that every time people supported me, and several times I would then let them down again, but then they supported me again, and in spite of the fact that I let them down on several occasions, they never stopped supporting me, and that's what was so important for me, was that there was always someone there who could offer me that support, because it would have been very easy to be look, we tried, there's nothing more we can do, you're on your own. And I mean, I was a kid. We're kids. We might think, well, we think we're adults.
Yeah.
I look back and think, when I was 15, I thought I was a grown up. I wasn't a grown up. Still not a grown up, really, but don't let on too much of that. But yeah, at heart, I'm not. At heart, I'm not that different than I was as, maybe not a 15-year-old, but certainly as a 25-year-old. It's only when I look in the mirror and try and physically do the things I used to do back then that I realise I'm quite a few pounds heavier and quite a few years older. But
and maybe our hair, mate. Like you've still got yours. Mine's disappearing.
Yeah, I always say better grey than gone away. But
oh, look at that! It's straight in already. Harsh. That's below the belt, Tim. You know that. But no, that's really good of you again to share that. And I think you're right. I think it probably isn't fair to say it's just one thing. It's a multitude of factors that contribute towards you making decisions and life choices, even at that age when you don't even realise you're doing it. And often, I think it's fair to say again that some of these young people, again, they haven't even heard of the sort of the term mindset. They don't even know really what that means. And it's such an important thing, as both you and I know, the way you kind of, you approach each day, the mood that you wake up in, what mood you choose to be in. It's that kind of choice, isn't it? It's that some people, when they wake up, are they somebody who just smashes that snooze button or jumps out of bed? Is it somebody who does some exercise straight away or puts it off till the evening and then chooses dinner over exercise and things like that? It's choices and decisions day in, day out, all throughout the day that we make, and they're based on beliefs and our kind of experience and what we're used to. And that's why often people kind of struggle with change. And what I wanted to come on to now, I think it would be fair of us to kind of at least air with it with each other, this situation with the pandemic. I don't necessarily want to dwell on it too much, because I know it's been very, very challenging for a lot of people. But do you mind me asking, Tim, like in the sense of, the fact that we're kind of back in March, we're now going into October. We are in October when this goes live. What are your thoughts generally about it and the situation, and how have you coped, mate, throughout the period?
It's an understatement to say it's been tough. It's been tough for everyone, obviously. I'm lucky enough that there are certain aspects of it that haven't hit me too bad. Certainly financially, I'm lucky enough that I will survive this, but I'm very, very clear that some people won't, and some people's businesses won't, and I can't imagine what people like that are going through at the moment. But just the uncertainty, it brings you down, and sort of the frustration that not being able to do anything, or the way some people are behaving. Sort of everyone's got their view on how the crisis has been handled, but I'm sure there are things we could have done better, but I'm sure there are more mistakes we could have made as well. So it's so difficult, and it's so difficult to stay positive at times like this, when you turn on the news on the TV and everything is, this has gone wrong, that's gone wrong, unemployment's up, debt's up, businesses folding, and there's not a lot there to look forward to. And I'll be first to admit that I was a bit sceptical about the whole thing in the early days, and then sort of thought, actually, no, this is serious. We do need to lock down. We do need to do those sorts of things. But I certainly didn't think we'd still be talking about I thought we'd be talking about it in the past tense come this time of year.
Yeah.
And be thinking, thank God that's behind us, not, is it on the rise again? Is things going to get worse again? So, we're in for a tough time for a bit longer, unfortunately. Yeah. But I guess age is in my favour. Realise that there are tough times ahead, but there have been tough times in the past, and I've got my life experiences to sort of fall back on. But younger people who've sort of just starting out in their adult life in this sort of situation. Don't envy them one little bit at all.
That's it. I mean, and on that, Tim, I mean, what can you kind of find within yourself any kind of advice? Do you think for those that are a bit younger, you know, like both of us, you know, sort of, you know, around sort of 20-year-olds, 18, 20, 22-year-olds, is there any kind of advice or suggested way of coping with this? Because like you've touched upon there, it has been very, very difficult for a lot of people, and clearly it is serious now. And I think, you know, I was one of them as well. I'll be honest, mate, you know, towards the beginning, it was kind of, well, what is this and what's going on? But, you know, you look at the stats and you talk to people and you realise what's going on. And of course, we're always sensitive around the subject, naturally, as fellow human beings. But at the same token, we have got to get through it wherever best we can do. So is you know, in those lower moments that you no doubt would have had, because I know I've had low moments during the 6 months, how do you mind me asking, mate, like how have you pulled yourself out of that kind of mental state where you think, you know, what is the point, or what is going on, or you're stressing out about things, or you're losing your confidence because of like the fact you turn on the radio or your TV and everyone's bemoaning the situation and down and negative? How have you got through it? What things have you done to pull yourself through it?
I generally, what I will try and do is try and take a step back, and do something for someone else, or do something you enjoy. Stop making it about yourself and start trying to do it. So I've done a bit of volunteering, as I guess we'll talk about a bit more. I've done a lot of cycling this year, one for my physical well-being, but equally for my mental well-being. And yeah, I managed to do a little bit of good with it as well, hopefully. But so yeah, I would always say, take the focus off what's going on inside your head and try and look at what you can do for someone else, and always believe that it will get better, no matter how bad it seems. Maybe it is a door closing, but there will be other doors. Other doors will open, and you just got to hang in there, and don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't feel you're the only person who feels this way, because we all are. It doesn't matter who we are and how sort of upbeat we may appear. We ain't like that all the time.
That is such brilliant advice. I mean, we go on a bit to do with the foundation's work as well, as you know, again, to do with emotional intelligence, and ultimately that's being kind, you know, just having an outward way of thinking about how you can help other people as best as you can, because then actually it self-perpetuates. You go and help people and have that attitude about you, and then it kind of rubs off on people. It would do. I mean, you know, if you like that in your local community, around your neighbours and this, that and the other, you know, it will rub off on people, and people will warm to that and then want to be like that. It is generally often the case. So that in what you just said there, kind of you extract yourself from the situation mentally, you know, psychologically, and have an outward kind of attitude towards, well, look, we're all in this together. All of us are struggling. The nation's stressed. How can I try and help someone else? You know, in the situation that we're all in, how can I try and help someone else? And then by doing that, that makes you feel good about yourself. So rather than stressing and being negative and down, you're now feeling more gracious about how you've been able to help somebody out, and they're likely going to be, you know, appreciative in return, which again makes you feel good. And then it's hopefully going to be a knock-on effect. That person then feels maybe the inclination to help someone else, and so on and so on. So it's solid advice. And just on the subject of health and well-being and your cycling endeavours, I mean, publicly, massive thank you again, Tim. I mean, for those that don't know, Tim did bonkers, basically, mate. I don't know why you're doing it is crazy, but we actually do know on a serious why you did it. But it was an amazing endeavour and feat that you achieved, cycling the distance that you did. I mean, if you don't mind, if you can share that on this call, the total distance you did over what period of time, and the amount of money you raised for street soccer, if you don't mind sharing that.
Well, should have looked all these numbers up exactly.
Yeah, you probably can't remember that because you're doing it every day.
Yeah. The challenge I set myself is, because I usually play cricket, and obviously because of COVID, the cricket season couldn't start as it was planned to. So what I decided to do was to cycle to all the grounds that my cricket club would have played at over the first 9 weeks of the season. And so adding those up, it came up to just shy of 900 kilometres just on those rides. But in the same 9-week period, just to sort of keep myself in shape for those, I did about another 1,000 kilometres. So nearly 2,000 kilometres in a 2-month period. And I visited, I think in the end, a total of 45 cricket grounds, because I didn't just visit the grounds I was due to play at. I visited ones that were on the way and ones that were nearby. So yeah, I think it was 45 grounds, and raised about £1,300 for Street Soccer Foundation. So
it's just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. I mean, you saying that again just right now. I mean, I went out for a morning run this morning and did like a sort of, I think it was just under 10k, 9.5k, whatever it was. So you saying those sorts of numbers, Tim? 900 kilometres is just insane, but it's hugely appreciated, and it's just so brilliant for us to have people around us like you, and you as an individual, but your business as well, and part of what we'll be doing now is driving forward, as I know but we've got this club member network, so we're going to look to actively drive engagement with supporters of ours like your kind self, Tim, so these individuals and companies start to get to know each other properly, can share contacts and ideas and try and maybe be partnership driven and help each other out, and we come through this together, and wherever we can affect new relationships through that endeavor of our network, all the better, and you're a valued member of that community, Tim, so really from the heart, mate, thank you so much for what you've done. So just to talk towards the end now, I mean, what are your sort of plans going forward with the business and yourself, and what have you got on the horizon?
Well, the business has been tough. I mean, obviously, certainly the first 3 months, pretty much everything had shut down. Everyone was shut down on lockdown, and people were furloughed. Nobody really knew what was going to be happening to their business. So we're starting seeing green shoots. People are adapting, and that's always the way, is that those people who adapt will come out the other side, and we'll adapt as we need to. We're looking to add things to the products, make it more attractive to different business areas in particular, maybe do slightly different versions for slightly different markets. But we've got to grow continually, and we've got to find out what works for our customers and what would work for people who aren't our customers at the moment, and we'll be working hard to do that, and hopefully we'll be in a position where we're growing up. We can take some people on board and help them, and if it can be people, graduates from the foundation, that would make me really happy to be able to do that and offer someone like that a chance to get a foothold in life, because ultimately, so I think to use a sporting analogy sort of thing, they always say about a golf tournament, you can't win it on the first day, but you can lose it, and some of the youngsters that you're dealing with, they're at that sort of point. So like, let's make sure none of them lose it.
Absolutely, and that is something I'll hopefully you don't mind, but I'll be holding you to that. I'll hold you accountable to that, because that's part of what we do, again, as you know. But I'd love that if we could achieve on that. When we get the local academy up and running to you, Tim, we'll get you down for part of the session, and you can meet the group, and obviously from that, hopefully, fingers crossed, even if it's just one individual that shines a light and shows you some real good attitude and sort of endeavour to want to prove themselves, and how amazing would that be? What a story. But no, I mean, it's brilliant what you've shared with us, Tim, and obviously these are relatively short, punchy podcasts, and we're sort of towards the end now, but fundamentally you've given some amazing advice in what you talked about already, and one in terms of how it resonates with you on a level, the foundation of the work that we do, how you came through it yourself as an individual, and thankfully turned that corner and went down the right path for yourself. You've built out your own business. And now I think what you touched upon there as well, you're right, it's about conversation. It's like this, you being on the call with me today, it's exactly this, it's getting out, talking to people, it's relationship marketing, it's relationship building, nurturing relationships, understanding different people's viewpoints, different people's standpoints, how you can help people, what you've got to offer, maybe how you might, like you say, you pivot what you're doing and change your service offering however you can, if it's doable and viable to meet a demand, and vice versa. So I just want to thank you. Your time is precious. It's something we can't get back, and it's massively appreciated, mate. And again, reiterate, your support is hugely valued at the Street Soccer Foundation, and I really look forward to us kind of building our relationship as we go forward. So any closing words that you want to share with the viewers, Tim? It's going to be fellow supporters, partners, and young people as well. Just kind of final words from Tim before we go.
I'd like to say thanks for having me on. First time I've done anything like this. Hopefully I don't make too much of a fool of myself. So, but no, it's great. I think you're doing brilliant work. Long may it continue, and I will support you wherever I can. Having done this much cycling, there doesn't seem a lot of point stopping, so I shall continue cycling, and who knows, maybe there'll be another challenge in the future that I can raise some more money for you guys. So just keep doing what you're doing, Keith.
Well, listen, if I get to see those quads of yours in real life soon, it will be brilliant, and it won't come too soon. But Tim, thank you so much again. So it's been Tim Munday on today's Street Soccer United podcast. I'm Keith Mabbott, the founder CEO. Really appreciate you watching this podcast. If you can kindly share it as well amongst your network, your friends, your family and loved ones, and also your professional network as well. Kindly share it across your socials, wherever you can. Give it a like, give it a comment. If you want to get involved as well, and maybe be a guest on the podcast with me and have a little interview and give us a little bit about you and your background and why maybe the work that we do as a foundation resonates with you as well, would love to get you on. So if you want to get in touch with us, please do so. But for now, thank you again, Tim Munday.
Thanks, Keith.
Cheers, guys.
Right.